Pogs were actually like the month of Pogs. And Pogs were more popular for that long. Pogs, for people who've never heard of them, are little bits of cardboard, little circles, like tiddlywinks, except you're supposed to pay $5 each. That's why you didn't catch on. No one wants to pay $5 each for a piece of cardboard. 91 was the first year that Neverwinter Nights came out. Someone took the Dungeons & Dragons idea, ported it over to a video game. It was the year that Zero Wing came out, which spawned the All Your Base Are the World to Us meme. And the game of the year for 1991 is Street Fighter 2. This is the first real sequel I put on here, because Street Fighter was a popular game of sorts, enough to get a sequel. Street Fighter 2 changed the whole gaming idea. Everyone in the world played Street Fighter 2. You could not see an arcade with at least 2 Street Fighter 2 cartridges. And there was a balance to the characters. Normally there were 2 good characters, and there was like a big dumb balloon, and there was someone short and fast. Street Fighter 2 gave you 12 different people to play, ultimately. And there were like 5 different sequels that were all called Street Fighter 2 instead of Street Fighter 3. But there was a balance. Everyone was a good character. Everyone had depth. Everyone had secrets that you couldn't play unless you were a really good player. All of a sudden, picking a character didn't let anyone know if you were good or bad. You could be anyone, and you could play with finesse, or you could just button mash. But because of the popularity of fighting games, that brings us to the game of the year for 1992, which is Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat added a couple of things to Street Fighter. First of all, they made it a little simpler. There were only 5 buttons in Mortal Kombat. There were 6 in Street Fighter. Mortal Kombat also famously included blood. When you hit someone, blood spurted out everywhere. It also included fatalities. This was the big one. And this brought back the whole parental idea that video games are destroying our nation and destroying our children's future. You would get someone on the ropes, they were just about dead, and you could just keep on hitting them and hitting them and hitting them. But if you knew the special combinations, then you would be able to really destroy them. You could rip their head off. You could pull their spine out. You could set them on fire. In later games, you could have babalities where you turn them into babies. You could have friendships where you gave them a hug and went out for iced tea together. But, wow, the mic all of a sudden got a lot more powerful. I don't know if the mic just turned on or not. Have I been talking the whole time without a mic? Have I just been holding up the mic and thinking that it was a microphone? Yeah. I have? Okay.
Yeah, it was on. I didn't notice it was on.
Okay, at this moment I realize I'm dumb. Okay, we're going up to 1993. This is the year that the Super Mario Brothers movie came out, the first of 100 different video game adaptations. And, yeah, it stinks. But there's a very good video game movie from the same year that came out. It's called City Hunter. It's a Hong Kong movie with Jackie Chan. At one point, he gets hit into an arcade, he hits a Street Fighter 2 machine, and all of a sudden, he's Chun-Li. And he's fighting just like Chun-Li, making all of her moves, and even has a finishing move when she wins. And then the bad guy turns into, I think he's Zangief, and then they switch characters again, I think he's Guile. It's awesome. It's only 10 minutes on YouTube, but it's well worth it checking out. The game of the year for 1993 is Doom. Yeah. Doom was started by id Software, who wanted to get into the Nintendo business. So they made a side-scrolling PC version of Mario. They showed it to Nintendo, and Nintendo said, no, if you want to play Mario, it's got to be a Nintendo system. We don't want to go on the PC route. So it took that and basically redressed the character and called it Commander Keen instead, and made a couple of Commander Keen adventures. Then they brought back the old Castle Wolfenstein idea, except they made it first person. Now, it's very fun to play now, but it's a little limited. There's a lot of things you can't do, a lot of really basic things. That all went away with Doom. Doom was phenomenal. It was enormous. There were lots of levels you could play. You had 9 different weapons, including the BFG, which I'm not sure what it stands for, because no, not quite Big Friendly Giant. Oh, my daughter just read that old album, and she kept saying, the BFG, and it's like, the big freaking gun, yes. Although in the Doom movie it was called the biofeedback gun. Something else that Doom did that was innovative was that it was shareware. The first level of the game was totally free, and it was uploaded to the internet. Anyone could download it if they wanted it. And the first day that this came out, they basically shut down the entirety of the internet. Because geeks all around the world heard about it, they wanted to play these great new video games for free, and they shut down the internet trying to get it. Okay, we're on to 1994. 94 was the year that Sailor Moon was given to us by the It was also the year of the anti-Doom game. The game of the year from 1994 is Myst. Wow. Myst was made by Cyan Software. It was basically a bunch of static images, and you clicked around to go to the next static image. There was a little bit of moving around, but mostly it was still images. And there were mysteries to solve, but there were very sedate mysteries. There were hardly any characters who showed up. So you could just wander around this beautiful, inviting atmosphere. It was very calm and tranquil. There was never any time problems. You could spend an hour solving anything. And it just let you wander around. And it became, for a while, the most popular game of all time because it was CD-based. It let you have graphics that you couldn't ever see in any other game system. And it was relaxing. There was no challenge. It was a casual game, just like Solitaire or Minesweeper. Okay, we're going up to 1995. This was the year, not of the Sega Genesis, but of Neon Genesis Evangelion. Yes! Thank you, Japan, for that, and thank you, Germany, for a game called Settlers. No one's a Settlers fan? Okay. So, Nintendo wanted to get into the CD-based market, so they talked with Sony about making something called the Nintendo PlayStation. They got halfway through development, and then Nintendo realized, wait, we're going to have to share our profits with Sony. Let's figure out a way to really screw Sony and get out of this at the same time. So what Nintendo did was they let Sony get up and make a big announcement saying, we are partnering with Nintendo on the Sony PlayStation, Sony Nintendo PlayStation. And the very next day, Nintendo came up and said, yeah, we're partnering all over the place. We're partnering with Philips on another CD-based video game system, so we're just big sluts. Well, okay, they didn't say that, but that's kind of the implication, because Sony and Philips were like best friends going back 15 years. So Sony feels betrayed that Nintendo's basically giving up the idea that they were going to be partners for their best friends. Like, oh, how would you do that? How would you do that with him? How would you do that with Nintendo? Awesome. So they have a meeting of their board of directors and said, you know what, we have this video game system, the CD-based video game system that's half done. We could finish it because we think there's some money in it. But would we be doing this just to screw Nintendo, just to stick a middle finger in their face? And Sony's director basically said, yes, so we're going to do it. And thus was born the Sony PlayStation. And the game of the year for 1995 is Resident Evil. Wow! Another Japanese game from Capcom. It takes place in Raccoon City, a fictional city. There are zombies all over the place. What's amazing about Resident Evil, besides the graphics, which you couldn't do without a CD-based system for all of the rendering, all the images and the skins and all that, is that it found a way to promote fear via gameplay. If you've ever played Resident Evil, you know it is slow. Now, it's not slow by accident. There's a gun on the floor, I'm going to pick it up. Now, if there was a zombie attacking me, I'd move a lot faster to pick up that gun. But you can't do that in Resident Evil. Here's how you move in Resident Evil. Oh, zombie. Let me get that gun. And then I'm eaten by the zombie. So I needed to started to get the gun way early, and then I very slowly aim the gun. I very slowly pull the trigger. And then if I miss, I'm dead. But all this means that I'm feeling rushed, because I know it's going to take a long time to do something. So I start making bad decisions early on, which is exactly how you feel when you're scared, when you're panicking. So they found a way by slowing things down, which also helped, render things because it's really slick graphics, to duplicate the feeling of fear, which is one of the secrets of success of the Resident Evil franchise and all the other survival horror games. Okay, we're up to 1996. This is the year that Garry Kasparov was defeated by a chess computer called Deep Blue. I'm going to tell you the secret that Deep Blue had to beat Kasparov, because Kasparov was the greatest in the world. Deep Blue picked a bad move. Deep Blue was supposed to pick the best move. That's what Kasparov thought. Deep Blue was programmed at a very high level to pick the second best move. And what that did, very, very late in the end game, was Kasparov started doubting himself. Because he thought, no, this computer's supposed to pick the best move. He didn't. Therefore, I figured things out wrong. Therefore, I have no idea what's going on in this game. Therefore, I don't know how to move. And because of that, Deep Blue beat him. Because it was programmed to make a mistake. Which is pretty neat. Wow. It psyched out a person. And it's hard for a computer to do that. Okay, but the game of the year for 1996. Another CD-based game, Tomb Raider. Wow. Now, there have been adventure games ever since Indiana Jones and Pitfall. And this is basically Indiana Jones and Pitfall combined, but with a supermodel. And the idea behind it, as someone joked, you know, if you're going to spend the whole time with one of these 3D games where the camera's just over their shoulder, so you're basically looking at their butt the whole game, if I'm looking at a butt for 20 hours, I want to look at a nice butt. So that's Tomb Raider in a nutshell.